prayer real quick?
Please do.
God, thank you for the opportunity to gather. Thank you for the means to do it and for everyone who's made this possible. And we offer this time to your care and control, and we trust that what is said here will find the right ears. And thank you. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Humans of the earth, welcome to the Most High Show, made by and for people in recovery. It's a show about recovery, spirituality, and being human. Our mission is to provide impactful, community-driven media that informs, empowers, and inspires positive change. Real people, real stories, real life. This is the Most High Show. A smattering of clappings. Today's episode title is Leading the Room. How Resistance Became a Resource. Our guest is a skilled group facilitator. Who'd say you're skilled? Yeah.
I would hope so.
Whose ability to connect with people in recovery comes from lived experience, vulnerability, and trust building. In this episode, we're going to dig into the realities of leading group, common misunderstandings, and how his initial resistance to the 12 steps shaped the way that he helps others today. Welcome, Drew, to the Most High Show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Blessed to be here.
All right. For anyone who doesn't know, my name is Christian. I've been hosting this show for a while. I'm kind of a guest host tonight. And it's just me and Drew. We got Jason on the ones and twos. Josie's backing up. I think Katie's doing quality control. I hope someone's doing quality control. And we have a in-studio audience. So before we get into, my old boss used to say, you don't want to start the book in the middle. And everyone don't know. So you got to start at the cover. So you're a group facilitator. So how would you explain that to a layman or a 5-year-old little boy?
Good question. Someone who is able to lead a group of people, hopefully by example, instead of like clinical or like scientific terms. Someone who has a passion for what they're trying to teach. I say that just because, like, being a client myself and seeing many group facilitators, like, you can just tell right off the bat, like, who wants to be there, who's passionate about it, who's just doing it as a day job. So, yeah, I would explain it as someone that just wants to share their own experience and help others get through whatever it is that they're struggling with.
Okay. Yeah, and where do you run these? Where do you go to do these groups?
Like the actual programs?
Yeah, like where are you? Like, well, maybe not their names, but like what kind of facilities or?
Oh, so
you go
yeah,
to hospitals, jails.
I haven't been to any hospitals or jails yet, but I would love to. Right now, it's mainly just recovery programs and mental health programs. So
Okay.
like the PHP, IOP programs around here, sober livings, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so PHP, IOP is
partial hospital, partial
hospitalization
program, and then intensive outpatient program.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a lot of people don't know. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because like a lot of people who are struggling with making the decision, they think, oh, I got to go to treatment, and not knowing that there's the option of IOP, which in some cases you can keep your job or you can go home to your family afterwards. It might be 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. but you're able to go home and be with your family. So that's always like an option for, I think most people will recommend an inpatient, removal from society and all your external triggers or opportunities. But sometimes that's just not, people can't do that.
Yep.
So places like this, a PHP or an IOP is a good place. So those things do exist. So you mentioned that you've been in treatment and you've experienced group facilitators who were like, Like the teacher in Ferris Bueller who's like, you know. So is that what inspired you to be like when you're sitting there kind of going like this is like got to be different?
Yeah, yeah, because like I said, like it's so easy for us addicts to tell off rip who knows what they're talking about, but more importantly, who can I really trust that will really understand what I'm going through as an addict? Because if you're anything like me, you felt hopeless, alone, scared out of your mind. Didn't feel like anybody cared and didn't feel like you really belonged. And so, like, I had a few facilitators throughout my many of times trying to get clean that I actually felt gave a shit, to be quite honest. And from coming from the background that I did, like, I just felt like there just needs to be more people in this kind of like niche position that really wants to help these people who are coming in just desperate for help and screaming from the inside that they want help, even though on the outside they're very quiet, removed, avoidant, this, that, and the third.
Yeah, so like you kind of have these clinical environments, which can maybe to us addicts they can seem sterile and fake and like, well, but I do think there's a value to that and the structure of that, but to bring in some raw honesty and some realness. So you weren't always running groups.
Correct.
So,
Very different.
without getting too, we don't want you to start when you were 7 years old, you know what I mean? But just give us kind of a background of like when did drugs and alcohol become a solution for you and you found yourself like really living that life?
So the initial like trauma that happened around like from 15 to like 17 years old was being sexually assaulted, and that's what really made me turn to drinking and smoking weed at the time. I just needed anything and everything to numb myself, but at that age it's really hard to comprehend, and so like reaching for the next easiest thing to numb yourself other than just trying to laugh about it, because like at that age through my experience, I just made it a joke so I can cope. I didn't really understand the depth of it until late into my 20s. But like from that, and then getting into a car accident when I was 20 years old, got hit by an 18-wheeler. Luckily, I was in the car, but it messed up my lower back, and that's how I got introduced to hydrocodone and the painkillers, which, man, as soon as I had my first one, I was like, this is it. Like, I don't even need alcohol anymore, And so after that, got married pretty soon after that, a couple years later. And I was just, as soon as I ran out of my painkillers, it was back to alcohol, and it was just this vicious cycle of just numbing myself because I still haven't processed the trauma that I've been through.
Yeah.
And I felt like no one really understood. I'm divorced now, but my wife at the time, like, she was the only one that knew what happened to me when I was a child. It took me till this last time I went to rehab, which was my fifth time, for me to let my parents know what actually happened. And so until that point, the only thing that I felt that really felt like a hug was the alcohol and pills.
Yeah. And so you go to 5 treatments. First off, thank you for being honest and open and mentioning that, right? The sexual assault at that age and talking about it, because the more of us that talk about that, I think if we got 20 of us in a room and asked, raise your hand, I would think 90% of the room would probably raise their hand. Yep. It's really common, and I think the harm of that is it's common, so it's like, who doesn't,
Right.
I know that's how I dismissed it, right? Like, everyone has experienced that. So what's the big deal for me? And mine wasn't that bad, or,
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I think the more that we can be open and honest and talk about it, like, so boldly, like, without getting into details and stuff, it just opens the doors, because people need to know that, like, it's safe to talk about with
Yeah,
us in our
absolutely.
circles, in our recovery circles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 5 tries. Um, what was the first one like?
It was surreal, man. So it's funny how it worked out for me. The first time I went, I was still married at the time. I had all the support of our friends, family, like all the support in the world. And so when I went there, and I found myself asking people, like, is this your first time, just trying to get to know people? And majority of the people that answered, they were like, oh, this is my third, my fifth, my eighth, my 10th. And I was just like, what? Like, this seems so simple to comprehend. Why are you guys back here again and again and again? And then of course I end up going to my second one, and then the second time I was like, okay, now I get it, you know.
Yeah.
But like that first time, it was scary. It really was. But at the same time, I felt home in a way because I was finally surrounded by people who actually understood instead of being on the outside. And I mean, I think we all call them normies.
Yeah.
Those who don't
I
use
call them earthers. They're
earthers.
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, instead of just people saying, "Oh, I understand," but like, do you
Right.
really? Like, I mean, the supportive words and the encouragement is great, but like, do you get it?
Yeah.
You know, so
So the first time everyone's loving you, supporting you, you got it, Drew. You're gonna, man, you can't wait till you come home. It's gonna be all good. How's that contrast to the 5th time?
the exact opposite. I was alone by myself. I had to rebuild my entire life. The only people that stayed in my corner, literally, were my parents and my sister.
And
I
they're
don't.
blood related. They got to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They had their fair shares of setting boundaries and trying to
Yeah.
like give the tough love, but they stayed in my corner, and I wouldn't be here today without them. Quite literally.
Yeah. And so this 5th time, what was it that I'm being reminded of a friend of mine who probably 8 years ago called me with a drinking issue.
Yeah.
He bumped into a cop car in a McDonald's parking lot in the drive-through. He ran into a cop car, got a DUI.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. So, you know, he calls me and it's like, okay, man, you got a problem. Like, you can get off the train now, or you can lose your family, you can lose your business, you can lose all these things. And here we are 7 years later, you know, families torn apart, and it's like, you know, it takes what it takes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is like, it's sad to think that I had to keep, like, I don't know how to say that without like sounding like despairing, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't get it on the first try. Like, yeah, keep trying, but it is like the damage and destruction that happens after that, you know, to take that first one as seriously as possible. I'm sure like you having that experience, how do you bring that in when you're in groups to some of the people that are in there? Like, because you know what it's like to go and then leave and then come back.
Yeah.
Do you bring that up, and how do you bring that up?
Yeah. So as you so nicely put it earlier, like vulnerability is like the biggest thing when it comes to group facilitation. I know that they won't open up if I don't open up, you know, and if they don't feel comfortable talking, or if I don't feel comfortable talking, then why would they, you know? And so, yeah, that's honestly why one of the first groups I do is what I call like an introduction group.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually go through and tell my whole story. Like I do it within an hour, but I hit all the big points, but like just letting them know that, I mean, relapse unfortunately is a part of the process, you know, but to give yourself grace, man. Like we're human beings. We're literally just out here trying to do our best, you know. And yeah, I totally empathize and sympathize with people coming from different backgrounds, different challenges, different trauma, you know. But once we're in group, like you're finally around the people that truly get it, you know. Like I mean, of course, off rip, people are still going to be nervous and think, oh, people won't understand or they won't get it. But as soon as they start opening it up, it's kind of like opening up like the dam. It just starts
Yeah.
flooding out, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, like, because I've done a lot of group facilitation too, and
Awesome.
you see, like, there's usually the person who, like, is really into it and knows everything, and you're, like, excited, but then at the same time, you're like,
Chill, bro.
this is a show. And it's a little like, and you can't crack. It's hard. That's the hardest nut to crack because they're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're like, they know everything and they're engaged. And it's like, I always look at that person and go, ooh, like, because you're playing the game. You've played the game so much, you know. And then the person who you think is just sitting there really quiet and with a grumpy look on their face, you think they're not listening, you know. So how do you do that when you're in that group facilitation and you're looking at all the eyeballs, you know? How do you keep yourself from kind of judging and adjusting, or, you know, what do you do in that moment?
That's a good question. It's all through trial and error, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Well, you're building a relationship, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, just going in, I try and remind myself like where I was and how I was literally in their seat. And so, I do my best to definitely set boundaries and create this safe space. So, even though George over here might be all about it and answering every question, and Jill's over here quiet and may not be engaging as much. I mean, I'll still go around the room and ask everybody the same question because I know what it feels like to still be in a recovery room but feel like you're alone.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's the scariest feeling, being in a
Yeah.
room full of people yet still feeling alone.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, if what I'm doing isn't working, like in real time in the group, then I'll ask them on break, like, hey, like, are there certain topics that you would like to hear more of, or like, is there
That's
something
good,
I can,
yeah.
is like, is there something I can cater or I can do to cater to you to help you open up more? Because I found in my own experience, the more you are willing to be open, honest, vulnerable in group, not easier, but like the less difficult things will be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and group is such a proven method of healing, right?
Yep.
And sometimes, like, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but like, someone in the group says something, and you're like, "That's why we were here today,"
Yep.
right? Like, it's you got a whole spiel and you got this whole thing planned, and it's brilliant and it's wonderful, and then one person says something, and you go, "That was we all needed to hear that,"
Yeah.
right? Does that happen to you often, or?
I wouldn't say often, but it does happen. And honestly, those tend to be my favorite groups because, like, obviously, if I can tell by just the vibe in the room that it really clicked with everybody, then I'll just ask that person to be like, okay, go deeper with that. Like, what was it like before and after? Like, what did you do to get to that point, you know, and just share more of their story. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that you talked about when we were talking about, like, what the first questions I asked you in the pre-interview was like, what's your differentiating factor, right? What differentiates you from other group facilitators? And the first thing and the kind of the main thing you said is you're not being clinical, right? You're coming in with this raw honesty. So why do you think that helps you connect?
I think it's refreshing to the clients that are there because, especially if they have been around before, they can spot facilitators that don't really care, and it's just their day job,
Yeah.
you know. But personally, I've I've unfortunately learned the fact that I'm very empathetic, and I feel like that's a gift and a curse, you
Okay.
know, because I mean that I feel everything they're saying because it's. I mean, it's real life, you know, and I've been there. And so, like, at times it's hard to leave that at the door when I leave, you know, but, I mean, just.
So it sounds like what's really differentiating it is you actually give a fuck.
Exactly. I didn't want to come out and say it just like that, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but there's something in this, you know, that really means something to you, right? You feel it, you know. I wonder how many other facilitators, you know, just are experiencing fatigue,
for sure.
Right.
That happens.
You know, I know I got brought into one because the guy who was running the group was like, yo, I need a break. Like,
Oh, for sure.
I'm running this group every day. And I think the group needs a break too. Like to bring in an outside person, it's like a fresh breath of fresh air,
Yep.
you know? So you're able to kind of dip into their world and then dip out, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So you talked about having this diagnosis, your mental health diagnosis.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where were you diagnosed first with this? And what is it?
Sorry, repeat that.
Where were you diagnosed and what is your diagnosis?
So I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder (BPD) when I was 29, and I was still married at the time. And I mean, to where like it was Marietta, but like I can't remember the name of it. But anyways,
I mean, were you institutionalized at the time, or was it during treatment?
It was actually after I was institutionalized for trying to kill myself.
Oh.
Yeah, I ended up, I mean, that was from the drinking, right? It got so hopeless and so dark for me that I tried killing myself. And so I got 1013'd and spent 2-3 weeks
Wow.
at an institution. And that was very eye-opening. But at the same time, like, yeah, it was a dark time in my life, but it really helped me gain perspective on where I was on the spectrum of like mental health issues, you know. And honestly, I wouldn't trade any of what I've been through for anything, you know, because it's made me who I am today.
But borderline personality disorder, that's not a very common diagnosis, is it? I don't think.
No. Right? So a lot of people get it confused with bipolar because they do share a lot of similar qualities. But how it manifested for me personally was just the fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection, being impulsive, and all these things. And once I was diagnosed with that, it was like a weight off my shoulders because like I said, I didn't get diagnosed until I was 29. And so that whole time I was like, what is wrong with me? You know? And I mean, my parents might be watching, bless their heart, but like they didn't allow me to go to therapy or anything growing up. They would just be like, oh, we're going to pray about it, which, don't get me wrong, I believe there is power in prayer. Yeah. But like with what I went through, I mean, again, they didn't know at the time, so they didn't. I mean, of course, they were just doing what they knew best to do. And so once I got that diagnosis, I was able to put a real face to what I've been through, and it was just a weight off my shoulders, honestly.
And so, how is that treated? How do you treat your?
I just laugh because it's not. There's no cure or medication that you can take, you know, like it just, for me, it was just a mixture of therapy, working with my sponsor, a lot of self-awareness, a lot of grounding techniques, CBT, DBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral therapy.
Yeah. Everyone else heard you were eating gummies or something.
Right.
Right. Yeah. The only person that really I've ever, like, you remember, I don't know if you know Brandon Johnson. He's played for the Bears. He's a wide receiver. Yep. And he had a lot of problems in the league. And he found out he was diagnosed borderline personality disorder. Wow. And then, you know, I've seen him, like, recently, like, he hosts I can't remember the name of their podcast. And every time I kind of see him, I can see, I know this is a celebrity, so it's, you know, but I could see, like, being a Bears fan, of course, you know, which is probably a mental health diagnosis. But I remember him having all those issues, then coming out about his diagnosis. And I remember him watching him, like, on the field and playing, and how it's almost like the same experience like you had. Like, it explains so much, and then seeing him thrive, you know. Again, this is a athlete that I'm following, but that's really the only like experience that I've even had with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you the diagnosis really helps, but I guess you continue to use and post that diagnosis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were still trying to find ways to cope.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was still looking for answers, even though I had the majority of the answers to the test. So so to say. But yeah, it's literally just trial and error because different things work for different people.
Yeah.
You know.
Were there did the drug use help?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people find that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge overthinker, and that doesn't help when it comes to BPD
Yeah.
either. And I mean, I'm still an overthinker to this day, but yeah, just learning how to slow down those thoughts and use the grounding techniques that we are using in these groups and group facilitation and at these IOPs and PHPs and rehabs, like
Yeah.
that we're teaching them for a reason because they actually work if you use them, you know. But I get it. Like when life is starting to life, the last thing you're probably going to do is like, oh, let me think back to what I learned in rehab.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Let me breathe a little bit. You know? Yeah. Let me ground myself. It's like, bitch, I'm trying to quit heroin. Ground myself? What are you talking about? So one thing that you brought up was you had this resistance to the steps, right? And we support all pathways here. I myself practice the steps. I've experienced great freedom from it. We try to respect traditions and those kind of things when talking about the steps, but you experienced a lot of resistance to it, and then it became the thing that, was the solution for you.
Yep.
I'd like to dive into that because I think, like what you said, it was the same thing everybody has to say about it, right? It feels a little religious. It's a little cultish. It's a little weird, What was that resistance? You remember specific instances of you resisting it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember almost every time I tried to, or when I did resist it, and it was always at the rehab I was at, because we would have 12-step meetings, of course, as a group in there. And although it all sounded good, I don't know what deterred me from it exactly, but
do you think it has something to do with like growing up in a religious household?
Possibly. Yeah. So like, I mean, to speak on that, I never really struggled with there being like a higher power, or there being God. Like I always believed that growing up, and like to stay being vulnerable and transparent, like I was forced to go to church every Sunday growing up. And like I was known as the black sheep of the family because I have an older sister and she was the golden child, straight A's, never used, never. Yeah. She knew she was going to be a nurse from the age of 4, went ahead and became a nurse, has this beautiful family, XYZ. And then there was me who excelled at sports but wasn't good in the classroom, but was smoking weed, drinking, all this stuff.
You were getting all the girls at church, bro. You were the bad boy at church, dog. No. Sunday school, dude. All them good church girls are like, oh, here comes Drew.
No, man. I mean, you're probably right, but no. But is it like I felt like
so like the religion and the institution you didn't feel a part of, but you always had this conscious kind of awareness of a God or something, right?
Yeah. That's absolutely right. I always knew that there was something greater than me. But the thought of it honestly terrified me. And I also knew I had to get there on my own. If someone was going to force it on me, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Like it has to be something or someone of my own understanding for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a common church hurts and religious hurts. They cut deep, They
do.
And so you're sitting in these 12-step meetings and the first time you're getting exposed to it, and there's just a natural resistance to it. Yeah. Now, what happens where you finally relent? The good thing and the bad thing about the steps is step 1.
Yeah.
The steps don't work if you don't take step 1, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the unfortunate thing about it. You have to have come to some admittance of powerlessness and unmanageability. You had to have that humbling, that moment of like, oh shit.
Yep.
And that's the good thing is if you really come to that, then all of the steps just work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when someone's on 3 or 4 and they are resistant, it's like, well, let's go back to 1. Do you remember what 1 was? Because do you remember when you were like, okay, was it okay, finally, or you opened up to it? What was that situation like?
It's pretty interesting. So it was it happened like whenever I came out of my drunken stupor or whatever it was, the 5th and final time, right? Like once I got like quote unquote like sober or felt sober, yeah, it just already felt different. It's just something about this time felt different. I think I finally, as the book so loves to put it, I got beaten into a state of reasonableness. And I mean, I definitely believe that was also God getting my attention to be like, hey, something needs to change. And it's you. It's always been you. You're the one that's been pushing the solution away the whole time. Like the solution in God has always been there. It's me running the opposite direction thinking I'm in control. I know what's best for Drew, you know?
Right. Or if you change the circumstances, or if you manage it better, or you know, if you got more money and you're able to do it, or if you could only do it on the weekends, or, you know.
I tried all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's no more hard liquor, just beer, you know, like, yeah, only weed, no more cocaine, like all these, like we do all those, like, and there's all external kind of maneuvering of the board pieces, hoping that, oh, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Just bargaining with yourself.
If I could have figured out how to do cocaine on only Saturday nights, I'd
As a
be
gentleman.
doing cocaine tomorrow night.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Seriously.
Yep.
But I just have no chill.
Yeah.
You know, and Saturdays turned into, you know, Sundays and Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then it was every day, you know. And I like what you put too, is like you were the thing that needed to change. Yeah. Right? So you come to this realization, beaten into the point of reasonableness. And how is it when it's presented to you? Can you remember it being presented to you and you going, okay, this is my path?
Yeah. Yeah, because the first, I remember it pretty well. Like the very first 12-step meeting I went to, once I was finally feeling like coherent again, it just felt like there was actually like a door to walk through, you know? And I just felt open and very like accepting to Drew doesn't know best anymore. Like whatever it is, like once I find someone who has something I want or a way of life that I want that's sober, like then I'm willing to do anything and everything they suggest because obviously I'm no good at it, you know. Once I'm in control, I'm either in jail, psych ward, or trying to off myself, you know.
Yeah. So you're in this meeting and it's in the literature too. Like you just got to crack the door of willingness open, right? Just crack it. It'll close inevitably, but just crack it back open. And it feels like the way you're describing it feels. The only word I could say is spiritual.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Like it's psychological, it's physical, it's all of it. There was just a opening.
Yep.
Now, when you started working the steps, what was that experience like, and how has that helped you, and what step really woke you up, I guess?
I would say it was a mixture of 4, like just listing out all the character defects and everything, and the way like I thought people wronged me and like my my part in it, which there was always Drew's part in it, like 99% of the time. So I realized
step 4 is.
Don't do this to me.
Made a rigorous moral inventory.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's the one that everyone fears, and it's
the fear inventory.
And it's really the simplest. It's really pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
You get a list, and you 4 columns, and you just write the stuff down, and it's all in a worksheet, and you write it down, right? That's just for someone who's like, 4. What does that mean?
What are they talking about? Yeah.
You know, Fantastic Four. What are you talking about? Yeah, so you do this, and it's getting reflected back to you, your character defects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just full of fear. you
Yeah.
know, whether that be fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of the unknown, fear of being misunderstood, and fear of being judged. I was just, I was, it felt like a weight I just could never escape was just the fear of everything,
Yeah.
you know?
Could you see a red thread from that to the trauma and the sexual assault that you or abuse that you experienced?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which ultimately I think played a part in like the reason why I got divorced, and I mean all that stuff. That it what I think people don't realize is that it touches everything in your life. No pun intended. That's crazy. I'm so sorry. It was there and I had to.
Hey, only do we joke about shit like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is very true.
Right,
Very
yes,
true. Dark humor is
That's why
definitely
we
a
have the puppets out
big
there.
coping mechanism for me.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah,
It's like the way I would describe it is it's a split in
Mhm.
your fucking soul.
Yep.
There's a crack that goes all the way through you, and it's almost like, at least that was now when I look back, I can see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can see that it was a shift of, oh, the world's not safe, or it's not how everyone says it is.
Yeah.
And kind of like everyone became liars after
Yeah.
it. Because it's almost like, it's like I got in on the secret, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Yeah.
and that's probably also why it was really hard to go to church and hear about this. Our God is an awesome God, and you're like, really? Because this thing happened, right?
Yeah.
And it's just this crack. I'm sorry, I interjected, but
No, you're good. But honestly, like to touch on the whole religious aspect, like I got saved and baptized about a year ago because I finally found my way back to the church and God on my own, and it finally felt authentic. I finally felt that I was ready to receive Him as my Savior, and I now understand that, like, I mean, I know plenty of people have probably heard like God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. Like
right,
nowadays, I'm like, I'm tough enough, God. Like, don't
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
me any more battles. But like,
Right.
I truly and genuinely believe that He allows these things to happen so that I'm able to come on podcasts in different places like this to tell my story. So it gets to people that think they're alone and think that they're not worth anything, and help them realize that you are lovable, like you are fixable. Like there's nothing wrong with you in the first place. You're not broken. You know, there's people out there that will love you in a healthy way and treat you with respect and just like treat you as a human being should be treated, you know?
So do you feel like in the process of the 4-step and seeing your character defects and understanding yourself, what did that allow you to do, and how did that help you to stay sober and not return to old coping mechanisms?
To put it simple, it opened my eyes to how big of a fucking asshole and selfish piece of shit I was. Because during my using days, it was all me, me, me. I don't care who I had to steal, hurt. I mean, you name it, I'll do it as long as I get drunk or high. You know what I'm saying? And so it just brought a lot of self-awareness, although hard to swallow at the time, you know, because you still, I mean, you're pretty early on in recovery when you're working the steps. The first time, I say that because I'm going through them a second time right now. But there's a lot of raw emotions coming up, and that's tough to process without numbing yourself, you know, like to allow yourself to feel those kind of feelings and not use like that's so hard, and that's why you have to do it with a spot like I was trying to think of a way to describe my sponsor, but someone who actually gets it and isn't going to judge you, because you need that safe space to process all those emotions that are coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think the result is humility.
Yep.
I think that the difference, like, of all the people I know and all the paths that they're on, I can tell people who work the steps
Easily.
because there's a layer of humility to them.
Yep.
That and I'm pretty knowledgeable in a lot of different pathways, and it's like the only pathway that I've seen, and I've worked many different pathways,
Yeah.
and by far the steps have been the best path to actually learning how to live, how to
Yep.
be a human,
Mm-hmm.
because for a lot of us addicts, it's and alcoholics or people with substance use disorder, you it's hard to just exist. Things that are very normal and natural to people, they look at us, or I could used to lose my shit because I couldn't find the lid to a pot. You know what I'm saying? Like
Frustrating.
it's yeah, like where is this? And interestingly, part of that is the waiting for the neuroplasticity in your brain to settle,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Some of that is just like a biological response. Your brain has these, highways to pleasure or to instant gratification, and then you can't find the pot, and your brain is just looking for the highway. It can't find the highway, and so you become frustrated.
Yep.
Science and learning about brain chemistry and the brain, all that stuff really helped me too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So you do this 4-step and you get freedom. And now you're entering into these environments where steps might not be the primary path. Right? They might be doing cognitive behavioral therapy primarily. I mean, everybody kind of at some point will be like, maybe you should go to a meeting. Most treatment centers, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or someone says like the $30,000 big book, right, that people buy. But how do you hold that space of like honoring where somebody else might be at their point? They might be where you were, resistant to that kind of. Do you mesh that in with your group stuff, or do you kind of keep it separate?
So that's another good question. Oh, sorry. I mesh it in a little bit, and that way, when I do like a step 1 meeting, I'm able to gauge which clients are like participating and like seem like they want to know more, and that way I can also tell who is resistant, or because I mean some people will just flat out say the steps aren't for me. Like
Yeah.
those won't work for me, and I'm just like, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm not here to force it on you.
Right.
Because I know when I was in your seat and someone tried to force it on me,
It did not work.
it did not work,
No.
you know? And so, yeah, unfortunately, we all have to hit our own rock bottom.
Yeah. And it's a little bit about, to be fair, it's a little bit of the culture of 12-steppers to be like, this is the only way. And I kind of just went on a spew about it's kind of the only way.
Kind of is.
But but you don't have to be like that.
Exactly.
With it, right? Like we can know that. Like we've tried it all. This has been the path that's really worked. But I think there's been some people that I know that have some freedom. But there's a level of freedom I think is achievable. And I've used the steps like in coaching with people who are not addicts and taking people through the steps.
Yeah.
Because it's just a fantastic process of transformation. So you'll see that resistance, and you don't push it on them, and you kind of let them breathe and live. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for anybody who's heard this, and the classic, like everyone who gets sober wants to become a counselor, or someone wants to be a group facilitator. So the person who's aspiring to do that, right? They really see that and they feel that inside of them, like, man, I wanna do my part and help my people.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who was in your shoes where you were before you started? Because it's a big leap to say, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put my eggs in this basket, and I'm gonna push forward, and I'm gonna do this thing.
Yeah.
What would you say to a person who's really wanting to do that?
Initially, just the thought in my head is like, is get you a friend like my buddy Joshua Paul, who had his own group facilitation business, and he's actually the one who gave me my first shot at doing group facilitation, and the only thing that he made sure that I knew was like a working knowledge of the steps, of course, like probably at least a year clean, and just a passion for it. And I mean, you're able to tell probably within the first group or two if they're in their zone, or like if they're really enjoying it and connecting with clients. But I would just tell them to Man,
Don't say pray about it.
I wasn't going to. Just pray about
I
it.
saw you
man.
were getting there. I
Pray
was like,
about
don't
it.
do it. Don't say pray about it.
No. Even though there is power in prayer, there's more to do other than prayer. I would just say start chairing meetings when you can, if you feel comfortable enough. Reach out. I mean, there's also
That's a very practical. Somebody's like, oh, isn't that like? I feel like the obvious answer is always fucking elusive to me.
yeah,
You know,
I feel that way too.
and that's such an obvious answer. Like, just volunteer to DL some meetings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does seem so simple.
it's so simple. Like, oh yeah, that's all I needed to do. It's
Yeah.
probably good for you to do that anyway, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, service work.
That
is
reminds me, I have to
huge.
do one on 18th virtually.
Nice.
Yeah, I have to say that out loud, or I'll forget.
Yeah, I actually chaired my first meeting like a couple of months ago, and I mean, as long as you're just honest, authentic, and just bring your own lived experience, people are able to connect no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, just be yourself. Don't try and tell these crazy stories.
Don't be cute.
Yeah, like there's nothing cute about addiction.
Yeah.
We want to hear the raw, fucked up version and how you got to your solution.
Yeah. So, I like that's good. So let's talk about, as we wrap it up, you know, the person who is listening, and we ask all guests to do this, who are sitting in the decadent seat of service. That's where you're at. The person who's considering changing their life, right? Who's really stuck and they're considering, I want to change. I want to live. I want to live. What would you say to that person?
I would say, man or woman, give yourself some grace. You're not broken. You are loved. You are worth everything in this world. But man, it's hard enough going through this alone. So just know that it's not a weakness asking for help. You know, it's actually a strength or a sign of strength asking for help, that, hey, I can't do this alone. And just be honest with people. Don't try and tell them what you think they want to hear, because that will just get you right back out in the streets using again. I did that myself. From the first rehab I went to, I went in there and was completely inauthentic, just told them what I wanted to hear, and I was using again within 3 months. But yeah, just know that you're worth it, man. You're not being overlooked. Like there's a place for you at every meeting. There's a place for you at every IOP, PHP. They're just waiting for you to reach out and ask for help.
Yeah. Now I know you said you don't have your website up yet, but do you have a domain name?
It would probably be something like, so my LLC is called New Path Recovery, and it's
I'm just thinking if someone's watching and they're like, oh, I would like to have Drew come to my organization and facilitate, how would they get a hold of you?
Through my email, which is drewresch07@gmail.com. And my last name's a little funny, so it's ROESCH 07@gmail.com. But yeah, the website and business cards are coming, I promise.
No, I love it, because that's like, you know, you got busy working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
doing
away.
what you love and what you need to do.
Yeah. I mean, I just trust that God will provide as long as I'm doing the next right thing and connecting with these clients and giving them that safe space, then it'll all work out.
Yeah. Anything unsaid that we should say before we close?
No, I mean, this has been such an awesome opportunity. I wasn't sure what to expect, but this has been great.
Yeah.
You make it really easy to talk to you.
Thanks, man.
So I appreciate it.
I try to just, you know, be a human talking to another
Yeah,
human,
yeah.
you know,
Funny how that
and hope for the best. And you didn't get up once.
He didn't.
You didn't. You settled right into the couch.
He was locked in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you to donors and supporters who make this show possible. Thank you to the interns who are here late as hell on a Friday night when they could be eating pizza in their bed, vaping, watching Netflix. I appreciate you guys. And this has been another episode of The Most High Show. Yeah.
Woo! Sick.
That was good.
That was good.